Let me describe a feeling you know too well. It is 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. The house is quiet, and the day's immense weight is finally beginning to lift from your shoulders. And then your phone lights up. It is a friend in crisis. Again, their text is a frantic, raw flood of words, demanding an immediate response, demanding your presence. Your body is exhausted. Your own problems are piled up on the silent floor of your mind. The debt, the looming deadline, the quiet argument you haven't resolved. And yet, before you even make a conscious choice, before you can even construct a barrier, you pick up the phone, you listen, you soothe, you offer advice, you become the container for someone else's immediate chaos. You are the emotional scaffold, the emergency contact, the one who is always stable. You are the therapist friend, the one who holds the secrets that belong to others, the one who absorbs the tears that were never yours to cry, the one everyone calls so strong and so wise. But when you finally hang up the phone and the room goes quiet, the chaos belongs only to you. You are left with a heavy, hollow question that you rarely dare to whisper, even to the ceiling. Who listens to me? To be the therapist friend is to live an emotional life dictated by external rhythms. You are an architect, but you build safe spaces for everyone else, often by systematically dismantling the load-bearing walls of your own boundaries. You have spent your life honing your empathy into a finely tuned instrument, capable of detecting the most subtle shifts in another person's inner weather. It feels like a positive personality trait. I'm just highly empathetic, you say, wearing the exhaustion like a badge of honor. But psychology tells us this is rarely just a trait. It is a deeply ingrained, sophisticated survival strategy. Imagine a vessel, your inner self, that is constantly being poured out and into other cups. It is used to dilute their grief, to quench their anxiety, to fill the gaping hole of their temporary despair. Eventually, the vessel runs dry. There is nothing left. But the therapist friend has learned a dangerous magic trick: how to pour from an empty cup. You have learned how to create a mirage of resourcefulness. You have learned that your utility is your currency. You believe, with a chilling certainty that governs every interaction, that if you stop being useful, if you stop solving, soothing, or stabilizing, you might just stop being needed. And if you are not needed, the subconscious mind whispers, you risk being abandoned. To understand this deep-seated compulsion, we must look back, not just to your friendships, but to the living room of your childhood. Psychologists often refer to this specific dynamic as parentification. It happens when a child is forced, either explicitly or through circumstance, to take on the emotional or practical responsibilities of an adult. Perhaps you had a parent who was emotionally volatile, chronically depressed, grappling with addiction, or simply too consumed by their own struggles to be a stable presence. To navigate that chaotic landscape and ensure your own safety, you learned to become the stabilizer. You became the tiny, unpaid therapist of your own home. You learned to read the emotional temperature of a room before you even walked into it. It was a life-saving skill. You quickly realized that being good didn't simply mean behaving well. It meant having no inconvenient needs of your own. Your nervous system was permanently wired around a psychological defense mechanism, often called the fawn response, appeasing others, solving their problems, and making yourself indispensably useful to prevent conflict or emotional distress. You weren't simply developing empathy, you were weaponizing it for your own protection. This created a specific, painful blueprint for all future connection. Love is conditional upon my service. This belief hardens into self-concept. Decades later, you find yourself seeking out relationships where the other person is fundamentally broken or requires constant management. A healthy, reciprocal relationship feels strangely quiet, even unsettling. The tragedy of the therapist friend is that you unconsciously signal to the world that you are always available to absorb crisis. Because you have systematically erased your own boundaries, you become a magnet for those who have no brakes. You surround yourself with people who require fixing, because fixing them maintains that trusted childhood feeling of control. If you are the doctor, you never have to be the patient. But the cost of this safety is immense. It is a profound, invisible resentment that builds like sediment beneath the smooth surface of the river. You start to hate the sound of the phone ringing after 9 p.m. You start to feel unseen and invisible in a room full of people who claim to love you. Why? Because they only know the function you perform, not the person you actually are. You realize that your closest relationships are transactional. I give therapy. You give me the intoxicating, fleeting feeling of being needed. This exhaustion manifests not just in weariness, but in emotional numbness. Over time, you build a thick, protective skin against the relentless trauma you absorb. You become so adept at managing the feelings of others that you lose the vocabulary to describe your own. You become a hollow echo chamber, reflecting the emotions of the world while your own interior life remains dark and silent. You have defined yourself entirely by your utility, leaving no space for your own intrinsic value. But here is the truth that might hurt before it heals. You are not helping them as much as you think. By carrying their burdens, by solving their crises, you are inadvertently robbing them of the profound dignity and strength that comes from carrying it themselves. You are preventing their post-traumatic growth. And by hiding your own needs and vulnerabilities, you are robbing them of the most sacred opportunity, the chance to love the real you, not the strong version of you, but the messy, tired, human version that occasionally needs to lean on someone else. The paradox is that by trying to be everything for everyone, you have created a world where you are nothing to yourself. Healing begins with a terrifying step: putting down the load. It begins when you recognize that the emotional labor you perform is not love, it is a shield. It means allowing the phone to ring and letting it go to voicemail. It means realizing that no is a complete sentence that requires no immediate, frantic justification. And most importantly, it means daring to be useless, daring to show up empty, to admit you are tired, to share a problem without immediately suggesting a fix for it. Trust that they will survive your temporary unavailability. Trust that a genuine friend, when you finally show them your vulnerability, will meet it with empathy, not rejection. Because true belonging is not about what you can do for someone, it is about who you are when you are sitting in silence. The next time the phone rings and you are empty, turn that immense, beautiful, life-saving empathy you have given so freely to the world, and finally, for the first time, give it to yourself. You are allowed to be the one who is held. You are allowed to need. Your worth was never tied to your capacity to fix, but to the simple, profound fact of your existence.